The cave was silent, except for the soft sound of dripping water. Strange blue light glowed from cracks in the stone, casting long shadows across the uneven walls. The alien woman stepped carefully, her boots crunching over centuries of dust. She had traveled far, following whispers of an ancient ruin hidden deep beneath the mountains. Her heart beat faster as she reached the end of the tunnel. A wall stood before her, carved with symbols too old for her people to understand. But in the center, half buried under layers of dirt and stone, was something different. She raised her trembling hand and brushed the dust away. Her eyes widened. It was a face. Not the face of her own kind, not the face of any species she knew. The carving showed strong eyes, a sharp jaw, and a strange round shape of head. The alien woman's voice cracked as she whispered into the dark. "No, it cannot be. This is a human." Her people had told stories when she was a child, legends of a species so dangerous, so powerful, that they burned across the stars like wildfire. But the elders always said the stories were myths, meant to frighten children into obedience. Humans were not real. They never existed. Yet here, in front of her, was proof. The air inside the cave grew heavy. She felt it pressing on her chest, making it hard to breathe. Then, faintly, she heard something, a whisper. It was not the wind. It was too sharp, too deliberate, leaving traces. Her blood ran cold. She turned quickly, holding up her light, but the tunnel behind her was empty. Shadows clung to the rocks. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling. "No!" Answer, only silence. She forced herself to turn back to the carving. Her fingers traced the stone outline of the human's face. The eyes in the carving seemed alive, staring straight into her soul. She whispered again, this time almost pleading, "But you are only a legend." Then the ground shook. A deep rumble echoed through the cavern. Dust fell from the ceiling. The symbols on the wall began to glow faintly, pulsing with a rhythm like a heartbeat. The alien woman stumbled back. Her light flickered, and then she heard the whisper again, louder this time. Not one voice, but many, countless voices overlapping, as though a crowd was speaking directly into her mind. "We remain..." Her breath caught in her throat. She dropped her pack and ran her hands across the glowing symbols. One of them lit up brighter than the others, and the stone shifted beneath her palm. A hidden mechanism clicked. The wall began to open. Stone ground against stone as a small chamber revealed itself. Inside, she saw objects that had never belonged to her kind. Strange metallic devices, broken weapons and shattered helmets, too small for her people, but perfect for humans. She gasped, covering her mouth. The whispers turned into low, echoing laughter. No, this is not real," she told herself. They were destroyed. The council said they were destroyed, but deep inside, she knew the council never truly believed in humans at all. They thought the stories were harmless myths. And now, standing before undeniable proof, she realized something terrifying. If the carvings were real, then the war from the legends was also real. And if the war was real, what if the humans never lost? The thought chilled her more than the darkness around her. Her light flickered again, then went out. Total blackness swallowed the cave. She froze, then a dim glow returned, but it wasn't from her torch. It came from inside the chamber. A broken device, cracked and ancient, was lighting up with blue sparks. The air hummed as the device projected, a faint image into the cave. Her knees almost gave way. It was a human, a tall figure in strange armor, scarred and weary, holding a weapon of fire and steel. The hologram flickered, the man's mouth moving, his voice distorted by centuries of damage, but she could still feel the weight of his words, as if they were meant for her. "We will return." The hologram cut off. The chamber fell silent again. Her hands shook uncontrollably. She stumbled backward, bumping into the carved wall. Tears welled in her eyes. Her voice broke as she whispered the words that had lived only in bedtime stories. Impossible. Your species exists only in legends. The silence that followed was worse than the whispers. The entire cave seemed to hold its breath, as if the universe itself was waiting. Then, far in the darkness of the tunnel, something moved. A shadow, tall and human-shaped, stepped into view. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't move. The figure stopped at the edge of her light. Its face remained hidden in the dark, but she felt its eyes locked on her. For a moment, nothing existed except that silent stare. And then, in a voice that was not quite a whisper, not quite a sound, she heard it. We were never gone. Her scream echoed through the cave, swallowed instantly by the blackness around her. The blue glow faded, the whispers stopped, and the cave returned to silence. But the alien woman knew her life, her world, and her people would never be the same again. The city lights shimmered like jewels against the dark sky as the alien woman walked through the crowded streets. Her hands were still shaking from what she had seen in the cave. Every sound, every shadow made her jump. The memory of the human's hologram burned in her mind. "We will return." Those words echoed in her ears like a curse. She pulled her cloak tighter and hurried toward the council hall. She needed to tell them. She needed someone to believe her. The grand hall rose high above the city, carved from black stone, guarded by tall silver statues. 2 guards in armor stopped her at the entrance. One of them frowned. "You look frightened. What happened?" "I must speak to the council," she said quickly, her voice shaking. "It is urgent." The guards exchanged glances, then allowed her through. The heavy doors closed behind her with a deep echo, and she stepped into the wide chamber. The council elders sat in a half-circle, their faces calm, almost bored, as if nothing in the universe could surprise them. One of the elders leaned forward. "Why have you come in such haste?" She swallowed hard, her voice trembling as she began. "In the mountains, in the ancient caves, I found proof that humans were real." A murmur rose through the chamber. The elders shifted uncomfortably. Another elder spoke with a cold smile. "Humans, childish stories, myths. You wasted our time with this." "No!" she cried, stepping closer. "I saw carvings. I touched their weapons, and there was a message, an image of one of them. He spoke. He said they will return." The council erupted in laughter. Their deep voices filled the hall. One of them waved his hand dismissively. "We have told these tales for centuries. Humans are bedtime monsters, nothing more. Do not let fear cloud your mind." Her eyes burned with tears. "I'm not lying. I heard them. They were there. Something is waking." The head elder rose slowly, his robe dragging across the floor. His voice was calm but sharp. "Enough. You have wandered too far into old ruins. Your mind plays tricks. Go home, rest, and forget these childish dreams." Her chest tightened. She wanted to scream at them, to shake them until they understood, but their eyes were filled only with disbelief. She realized then she was alone. She turned and ran out of the chamber, her footsteps echoing down the long stone corridor. Outside, the night felt colder. The stars above seemed brighter, sharper, as if watching her. She walked quickly through the streets, her heart heavy. Why won't they believe me? Why won't they see? As she neared her home, she noticed something strange. A group of children played by the fountain, tossing glowing stones into the water. One of them, a little boy, suddenly froze. His eyes widened, staring at the sky. "What is it?" the alien woman asked softly, walking closer. The boy pointed upward with a trembling hand. "The voices, they are calling." She looked up sharply. The night was clear, the moons hanging bright. But then she heard it too, a low whisper, deep and faint, like 1,000 voices blending together. We remain. Her skin went cold. She grabbed the boy's arm. "Do you hear them often?" He nodded slowly. "They come at night. They say they are waiting." Her stomach twisted. Even children could hear them now. The danger was spreading. She pulled her cloak tighter and hurried inside her home. The small room felt safe with its warm light and familiar shelves of books, but even here the whispers followed her, crawling at the edges of her mind. She sat down at her desk and opened a blank tablet. Her hands shook as she began to write. She had to record everything, the carvings, the weapons, the hologram, the voices. If no one believed her now, perhaps they would when the truth came crashing down. Hours passed. The city outside grew quiet. She finally set down her pen and rubbed her eyes. And then a loud thud shook her door. She froze, her heart racing. Slowly, she stood and stepped closer. Another thud. Harder this time, as if someone was striking the door. "Who's there?" she whispered. No answer. She grabbed a small blade from her table and held it tightly. With trembling hands, she unlocked the door and pulled it open. The street outside was empty, but something had been there. The ground bore footprints pressed deep into the dust. Not her people's footprints, not claws, not hooves. They were shaped like hers, like the carvings in the cave. Her breath caught, her eyes filled with terror. "No!" The whispers grew louder, surrounding her like a storm. We were never gone. She stumbled back, slamming the door shut, pressing her back against it as if that could keep the shadows out. Her blade fell from her hand. Tears slid down her cheeks. She whispered to herself over and over, as if trying to hold on to sanity. They don't believe me. They don't believe me. But deep down she already knew the truth. The legends were real, and soon the entire world would believe. The night had not been kind to her. Sleep never came. The whispers haunted her room, and the memory of the strange footprints pressed into her mind like fire. When the first light of dawn broke over the city, the alien woman wrapped her cloak tightly and left without telling anyone. Her feet carried her back to the mountains, back to the place that had almost broken her. She knew the council would never listen, but she didn't need their permission. She needed answers. The cave was colder this time. The silence inside pressed against her ears like a heavy weight. Each step echoed too loudly, as if the darkness itself was listening. Her torch lit the path, throwing shadows that seemed to move on their own. She passed the glowing symbols, the carved human face, and the chamber where she had seen the hologram. She stood there for a long moment, her hand hovering over the wall. "This is real," she whispered. "It has to be real." Her eyes scanned the chamber. Among the broken weapons and helmets, something else caught her attention, a strange metallic box, half buried under stones, its surface covered in dust. She knelt and brushed it clean. The box was marked with symbols, different from her people's language. The shapes were sharp, straight, unlike anything she knew. When her hand touched the surface, the box vibrated faintly. A soft hum filled the chamber. She pulled back, startled. The box began to open. A crack of light escaped, then widened as the metal shifted and folded away. Inside lay a small device, round and dark, with wires running across its surface like veins. It looked broken, but it pulsed faintly, alive. Her breath caught. "What are you?" The device flickered, then glowed brighter. A beam of light shot upward, forming an image in the air. The figure of a human appeared. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in armor that bore deep scars of battle. His eyes looked sharp, almost alive despite the distortion of the hologram. His mouth moved, and though the language was strange, the tone carried power, weight, and warning. The alien woman froze, her heart pounding. She could not understand the words, but the voice was heavy with command. The hologram glitched, then repeated the same phrase. It felt like the man was speaking across centuries, reaching for anyone who would listen. Her lips trembled. You were real. You fought. Here. Suddenly the chamber shook. Rocks fell from the ceiling. The glowing symbols along the walls flared brighter. The device pulsed faster, as if waking from sleep. The hologram's eyes turned, locking onto her. Her knees went weak. She stumbled, back whispering, "No, this isn't possible." The man's distorted voice grew louder, echoing through the cavern. "We are not finished." Her torch flickered. The cave trembled again, louder this time. The whispers returned, overlapping. Thousands of voices crawling into her mind. "Watcher, you have seen. You cannot hide." She clutched her head, falling to her knees. "Stop! Leave me alone!" The hologram glitched violently, then shifted. For a moment, the human soldier's face vanished, replaced by something else. A shadow, a human-shaped silhouette, taller than the soldier, standing motionless. Its eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. The voices hushed. Her breathing grew shallow. She stared at the shadow, unable to move. Then the shadow spoke, its words clear, as though translated into her own tongue. "We are waiting." A scream broke the silence. She scrambled backward, grabbing her torch, but the shadow remained still. The hologram blinked out, and the device went dark. Silence. Her body shook as she rose. She could feel sweat on her skin despite the cold. Every nerve screamed at her to run, yet she could not leave empty-handed. She grabbed the device and shoved it into her pack. If the council would not believe her words, they would believe the relic. They had to. But as she turned to leave, the whispers followed her, slithering down the tunnels. "Do not take it. It belongs to us." Her steps quickened. The shadows seemed to chase her, stretching along the walls. At last, she burst out of the cave, gasping for air, blinded by the daylight. She stumbled down the mountain path, clutching the pack to her chest. The city's towers shimmered in the distance, but for the first time, they did not feel safe. The whispers had followed her out. She could still hear them faint just beneath the sound of the wind. "We are near." When she finally reached the city gates, she could barely stand. The guards looked at her with concern. "You look pale. What happened?" She didn't answer. She only gripped the pack tighter and whispered to herself, "They were real. They are still real." As she entered the city, she didn't see the eyes watching from the rooftops, hidden in the shadows. Eyes that were not her people's, eyes shaped like the legends. The alien woman sat in her small chamber, the strange human device resting on the table in front of her. Its surface was cracked and silent, but she could still feel the hum inside, faint and alive, as if it was breathing. She stared at it for hours, her hands trembling. The voices had quieted, but not completely. Sometimes she caught a whisper, soft as a breath, curling through her mind. "We are waiting." She tried to shut it out, but curiosity was stronger than fear. She had to know more. That night, she slipped into the archives of the city. The great library stretched high above her, filled with ancient texts and digital records. Dust clung to shelves untouched for generations. Few came here anymore. The council preferred to bury the past rather than study it. She lit a small lamp and began searching. Old scrolls, stone tablets, fragments of forgotten history. Her fingers moved quickly, desperate. Finally, she found it. A sealed section, locked away behind heavy metal doors. The panel beside the door glowed faintly. She pressed her hand against it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a groan of gears, the doors slid open. Inside was darkness, thick and cold. She stepped in, slowly, her lamp cutting through the shadows. The shelves here were older, the walls scarred as if fire had once licked across them. She pulled down a tablet, its surface cracked but still readable. Symbols filled the stone, written in the old tongue. Her lips moved as she read aloud. The War of the Forgotten. Her heart raced. The words told of a time when her people were not rulers of the stars, but prey. They had expanded into the galaxy, proud and arrogant, until they met another race. A race of fire, of endless strength, a race that refused to bow. Humans. Her hands shook as she read. The record spoke of battles that burned entire worlds, human fleets striking like storms, soldiers fighting with fury unmatched. The text spoke of weapons so powerful they cracked planets, of voices that roared like thunder, of armies that would not surrender even when surrounded. And then, sudden silence. The records did not tell of humans being destroyed. They only said, the humans vanished. No explanation, no victory, only disappearance. Her chest tightened. They were never beaten, she whispered. They just left. Behind her, the shadows stirred. She spun around, her lamp shaking in her hand. The archive room was empty. The silence pressed heavy against her ears. Then a voice, soft and mocking, slid through the air. You see it now. Her blood turned cold. Who's there? No answer, only the sound of her lamp flickering. She clutched the tablet tighter. Show yourself! The voice came again, closer. You read the truth. Your counsel hides it. But you hear us. She stumbled back, her lamplight catching something on the far wall. A shadow, tall and human-shaped, lingered for only a second before melting away. Her breath came fast. She whispered, You are here. The voice answered, We never left. The lamp died. Darkness swallowed her. She dropped the tablet. Her hands scrambling for the wall, but another light replaced it, a faint glow from the device in her pack. It pulsed on its own, casting blue light across the room. The hologram appeared again, the human soldier standing tall. His scarred face looked almost alive this time, his voice stronger than before. We will return, he said, his words clear, sharp. We will finish what we began. Her legs gave out and she sank to the floor. Tears burned her eyes. Why me? Why are you showing me this? The soldier's gaze did not shift. His voice cut through her like fire. Because you listened, and because your kind must remember. Then just as suddenly as it began, the hologram vanished. The device went dark again. Silence filled the archives. She sat in the shadows, her body shaking. The truth was clear now. Humans had not died. They had not lost. They had only been waiting. And now something was waking them. When she finally left, the library, dawn, was breaking over the city. The streets were quiet, but she noticed details she had missed before. Figures watching from corners, shapes too tall, too still, standing where no one should stand. The whispers followed her through the streets, soft and steady. We remain. She clutched the pack close to her chest, her heart pounding. She had the records. She had the device. She had the truth. But the truth was heavier than she could bear. As she stepped into her home, she caught sight of the mirror by the door. Her own reflection stared back at her. But behind her reflection, another face flickered for a moment. Human face. Her scream echoed through the room, and then silence. The reflection was gone, but deep inside, she knew it was only the beginning. The night sky shimmered with 3 moons, pale and distant, but the alien woman's eyes were fixed on something else. A strange light pulsed at the edge of the stars, faint but steady, as if a beacon had been lit across the darkness. She stood on her balcony, her hands gripping the railing, her chest tight. She had spent days poring over the records she found in the archives, and nights listening to the whispers that never stopped. But tonight, the whispers were louder. They are coming. She closed her eyes, fighting the fear twisting inside. She wanted to deny it, to believe the council's words that humans were only myths. But the truth had already dug its claws into her soul. A knock at her door broke her thoughts. She turned sharply. "Who is it?" she called. "It's me," came the voice of a young guard she knew, his tone urgent. She unlocked the door, and he rushed in, his face pale. "Something has happened. The watchtowers detected signals, not from our ships, not from any race we know." Her breath caught. "Signals?" He nodded quickly, repeating bursts of energy, too precise to be natural, too strong to be accidental. "And," he lowered his voice, "they are coming from beyond the outer systems." Her heart pounded, "from where the humans vanished." He stared at her, shocked. "You believe the old stories?" She didn't answer. She only whispered, "I told the council this would happen." Before the guard could reply, a loud horn echoed across the city, a deep, trembling sound that shook the streets. People poured out of their homes, looking at the sky in fear. The council had summoned them, the grand hall filled with voices, shouts and panic. The elders sat high above, their faces dark with concern. The head elder raised his hand, and silence fell. "Our fleets have detected intruders," he said slowly. "Vessels of unknown origin. They do not respond to our calls. They are moving closer." The hall erupted again. Citizens cried out, some in terror, others in anger. "Who are they? What do they want? Are we under attack?" The alien woman stepped forward, her voice rising above the noise. "You know who they are," she shouted. "The humans have returned." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The elders frowned. One of them slammed his fist against the table. "Silence! Do not spread lies." But she did not back down. She pointed to the sky beyond the glass dome of the hall, where faint new stars glimmered, moving slowly, deliberately. "You cannot deny what is already here." The head elder's voice shook with anger. "Even if your humans were real, why? Would they come back now? What do they want?" The alien woman's lips trembled. "The war. They never finished it." The chamber fell into a heavy silence. At that moment, a deep rumble echoed through the hall. The ground shook. The lights flickered. Everyone froze, their eyes wide with fear. One of the guards burst in, panting. "Our ships, our outer defense fleet, they are gone, wiped out in moments." The council leapt to their feet, their calm shattered. Panic spread like fire. Citizens screamed, rushing for the exits. The alien woman stood frozen in place. Her body felt heavy, her mind spinning. She saw it now, the pattern of the whispers, the ancient words, the warning carved into the stone. Humans had not returned for peace, they had returned for war. The skies above the city lit up. Strange shapes broke through the clouds, vessels unlike anything her people had seen before. Sleek, dark, and silent, they moved like predators through. "Water!" children cried. Families clung to each other. The ground rumbled again as the alien fleet scrambled to rise and meet the intruders. But as soon as their ships launched, beams of light cut through them, tearing them apart before they could fire a single shot. The alien woman staggered back, covering her mouth. Her world, her people's strength, was nothing before this power. Beside her, the young guard whispered, his face pale. "What are they?" She looked at him, tears in her eyes. "They are the legends, the humans." A voice echoed across the sky, broadcast through every channel, every speaker, every mind. "Cold, calm, and heavy. We never died. We never surrendered. We have returned." The crowd fell silent, terror locking their throats. The alien woman felt her knees weaken. She wanted to scream, to run, but her body would not obey. The ships above shifted, their lights scanning the city like eyes searching for prey. The voice came again, sharper this time. "This world belongs to us." The alien woman fell to her knees, her tears mixing with dust. She whispered to herself, "It's the beginning of the end." And above her, the skies burned with human fire. The city burned. Fire lit the night sky, turning the moons red. The alien woman ran through the streets, her cloak torn, the sound of explosions echoing in her ears. Families screamed, ships fell from the sky, and the strange human vessels moved. Above, like silent hunters, she stumbled into an alley, pressing her back to the wall, her chest heaving. The whispers in her mind were no longer soft. They were sharp, commanding, like voices that had waited for centuries, and now rejoiced in her. "Fear, we are here. We are many. We are watching." Her trembling hands gripped the small device she had taken from the cave. It pulsed again, brighter than ever before, as if reacting to the chaos. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind her. She spun, blade in hand, ready to fight. But it was only the young guard, his armor scorched, his face pale. "You're alive," he gasped. She lowered the blade, relief flooding her eyes. "Barely. The city is falling apart. Our ships, they cannot fight them." The guard swallowed hard. "I saw it myself. They cut through our fleet like it was nothing. They are unstoppable." She looked up at the burning sky. "No, they are more than unstoppable. They are inevitable." Before he could answer, a deep rumble shook the ground. A shadow passed over them, and they both looked up. A human ship descended, larger than any craft they had ever seen. Its surface was dark, lined with scars of old wars. It hovered silently above the city square, and then slowly a ramp lowered. Figures walked down. Humans. The alien woman froze, her breath caught in her throat. They were taller than she imagined, their bodies wrapped in armor, black as night. Their steps were heavy, unshaken by the destruction around them. Weapons glowed at their sides, but it was not the weapons that made her heart tremble. It was their eyes, cold, unforgiving. One of them stepped forward, removing his helmet. His face was scarred, his jaw sharp, his gaze like steel. He looked across the terrified crowd that had gathered despite the fear. Then his voice rang out, calm but heavy, carrying across the square. "We never died, we never surrendered, we waited, and now we have returned." The crowd fell silent. No one moved, no one breathed. The alien woman felt her knees weaken, but something inside her forced her forward. She stepped out of the alley, her voice breaking. "Why now? Why, after so long?" The human leader turned his gaze to her. His eyes narrowed, studying her. Then he spoke, not with anger, but with something worse, certainty. "Because your kind forgot. Because your elders told lies. Because you thought we were ghosts." He stepped closer, his shadow falling over her. "But we were only waiting until the galaxy was blind enough, weak enough, for us to return." Her voice trembled. "What do you want?" His reply was cold as stone. "What was always ours." The whispers inside her mind grew louder, merging with his words, as if the voices of 1,000 humans echoed through him. She clutched her head, crying out, "Stop! Get out of my mind!" The human leader's lips curled into the faintest smile. "We are not in your mind. You are in ours." The young guard stepped forward, blade drawn, shouting, "Leave her alone!" The human barely glanced at him. With a motion of his hand, the guard was lifted from the ground, as if by invisible force. He gasped, choking, his weapon falling from his grip. "No!" the alien woman screamed. She ran toward the guard, but the human leader released him, letting his body fall to the ground, gasping for air but alive. The human's voice rang out again, this time not just to her, but to the entire city, the entire planet. His words thundered through every speaker, every channel, every mind. "This world will remember the humans. This galaxy will remember the war. We are not myths. We are not legends. We are the end of your story." The alien woman fell to her knees, her tears burning down her face. She whispered, "Then what am I? Why did you show me the cave? Why speak to me?" The human leader leaned down, his face inches from hers, his voice low. "Because you listened, because you were the first." To believe, and because someone must live, to tell the rest what is coming. Her heart pounded. Coming? His eyes glinted with fire. We are not here alone. The ground shook violently. The skies split open. More vessels appeared, larger and darker, filling the heavens like a storm that would never end. The alien woman gasped, her body trembling. She understood then. The signals, the whispers, the shadows, they had only been the beginning. Humanity was not just returning to her world. Humanity was returning everywhere. The human leader placed his helmet back on, his voice one final blade of certainty. This galaxy belongs to us. And with that, the humans turned, their fleet rising into the burning sky. The alien woman collapsed, clutching the device to her chest. Around her, her people wept, cried, prayed, but no prayer could change what had begun. She looked at the horizon, her voice a broken whisper. The legends are awake. Above, the universe trembled as the war drums of humanity echoed once more.